Welcome everybody to our Business Pawspectives series. So in this series, we're going to meet with pet business owners like the lovely Genna, who we've got here joining us today. And we're going to find out more about their businesses, how they became petpreneurs, what inspires them to work with pets on a daily basis. So as I say, this is the first of the series, and we've got Genna joining us today. Genna is the owner of Puplins Dog Walking, which is based in Cheshire in England. So I will let you, Genna, if you could give us a bit of an introduction about yourself and your business and let people know who you are and what you do.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Genna Lenden and I run Puplins Dog Walking. So it's not just dog walking. I do dog walking, dog grooming, and I also do canine holistics as well, which is something that I've just ventured into because the business is growing and is really going really successful. So it's just an added extra that I'd like to offer to our clients. So I'll give you a little bit of the story about how my background, I suppose, and how I ended up getting into dog walking and working with dogs. I've always loved dogs. And I've grew up with dogs as well. And we've always had big dogs. When I was born, we had 2 Pyrenean mountain dogs. So being a little tiny tot, I was around such big dogs from the start. And then from then on, we've had Rottweilers and German Shepherds. So we've always been around big dogs, me and my sister growing up. And I suppose growing up, do you know when you're younger and people say to you, what is it you want to do as a job? What job do you want to do? From a really, really young age, I just used to always say, I want to be a police dog handler. My dad was in the prison service, so I kind of had that authoritative role around me. You know, I seen that career around me. And I suppose I just ventured into, well, I don't want to be a prison officer, but I'd love to be a police officer and the police dog handler. And God, we're going back, 30 years now. But when I was at school, police would come in and do demonstrations with police dogs where they jump over, do agility, jump over like the hoops and things like that. And the police would demonstrate to you what the police dogs actually did. And I just used to like sit there in awe of them, wanting to just be like part of it. So yeah, that was my dream growing up. Went through school, got to the age of 18. I applied for the police at the age of 18 and I was turned down because of my height. At the time, there was a height restriction and I needed to be 5'7" and I was 5'1.5", and that half made all the difference. So it kind of ruined my plans a bit of, oh God, like what do I do now? So I kind of fell into going to college, going to university, fell into doing a business degree, which was great because it's given me the career that I've probably had for the last 20 years, working in corporates and working in marketing. But working with dogs was probably always the love that I had, and it was always something that I wanted to always go back to. I just still always had that pull to go back to it. I volunteered at like pack walks and dog shelters and things like that, but you know, I was still always not doing anything full time. I'm probably a big believer in like the universe and, you know, getting signs and things like that. And I used to always be like, well, how can I get into working with animals when I'm in such a good position financially? I've got a really good job. I've got really good career prospects. I've got a good salary. How is it that I just pull the plug on this and go and, you know, start from scratch and build a business like walking dogs or working with dogs? Well, COVID helped me with that, because when COVID hit, I was made redundant. So that was kind of like the time I thought, you know what, I'm gonna take the bull by the horns and start doing something about this love of mine that I've had my whole life. So I went to college, went back to college to study dog grooming, and got qualified as a dog groomer. And then from there, took the opportunity of, with my business background, with my qualifications, academic qualifications, to start a business as a dog walking business. And that's where Puplins was invented, I suppose. It's still part-time at the moment because I work for the family business, which is a joinery business. But the part-time hours that I do for dog walking, I'm fully booked, and I'm actually turning away people as well that would like to work with me. So the USP is that I work one-to-one, because I feel like my strength is working with big dogs, powerful dogs, dogs that could be interactive with other dogs, or dogs that have special circumstances or are nervous. So I believe that when dogs like that are walking in packs, they're not getting the best out of the walk. They're not getting the best of what they need as an animal. So being one-to-one means that you can spend that quality time with that dog, whether it's anxious, you know exactly the environment to take them to, the situations that you're going to approach and how you can deal with them. I'm going to give an example. There's one dog that there's two dogs from the same family that I walk. One is a nervous dog. Since COVID and since some work that's been going on at the home, he's become very, very nervous. He's a gorgeous, social, lovable dog, but outside of the house, he started to dislike men, and he started to get really nervous around the road and noises like zebra crossings and things like that. So I was able to start walking him on a one-to-one basis without his sister, who is actually day blind. So obviously they've both got two completely different needs, but walking them one at a time, you were able to concentrate on his nervous energy, and it's just such a nice experience to build confidence with that dog. So you're walking into the point now where they're really confident. They're not so worried about crossing the road. They're not so worried about other dogs coming over. They're not trying to attack every man that walks past you because they think that something bad's going to happen. So it's that kind of like gratitude you get from it's an unspoken gratitude you get from animals, which is why I really enjoy working with them.
And when you first the new dogs that you're working with, how do you sort of figure out what those individual needs are, and how do you build those relationships with them? Like, what's the process that you have behind that?
Okay, so I have, from my business background, I kind of have a marketing strategy where I'm specifically advertising online to people that want one-to-one service because they've got them special circumstances like reactive dogs or nervous dogs. And from there we'll have a bit of a conversation with the owner to just go, look, what is it that you've got issues with? Next step is to meet the dog, have a meet and greet, and I put something in the diary to go and sit with them for half an hour to meet them, just spend some time with them, see how they're reacting in the home environment, see how they are with their owners, and from there it's kind of like a questionnaire to the owners of what they like, what they don't like, what we could work on together. And then it's a case of booking in the appointment then to go, right, we're going to have a trial walk. We always do a trial walk just to make sure that the dog's happy with me just as much as I'm happy with the dog. And from the trial walk then we kind of have a bit of a sit down and go, this is like what's happened, this is what we think we can work on, and we go from there. And then we take that walk into booking them onto a regular basis. I've extended to 3 days a week now for my dog walking, and every day is busy. So there are obviously, there's just, it's just, I just seen a spot in the market for, these kinds of dogs that aren't benefiting from pack walks, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really great that you're sort of supporting those dogs with the not special needs, but with additional needs or with different needs, because their owners have their careers as well. Like thinking back to when you were in your busy marketing career, you were possibly, I presume you've had dogs throughout your life as well.
Yes,
probably in the position of the owners that you're helping now, so you've kind of as well got that touch point with the owners as well as the dogs to sort of support them, as well as supporting the needs of the dogs who perhaps are a bit nervous or anxious or etc.
Yes.
And I suppose when you've got a dog who behaves in that way around other dogs or in a group setting, it can impact you as well. You can become anxious and nervous about how your dog is out in the world. So
of course, yeah. And that stems down to them, it goes down the lead to them, it goes, the energy in the space with them, obviously it rubs off with them, doesn't it? I mean, I'm definitely not a trainer and I'm not any kind of like rehabilitator, but physically you can see what a dog needs as a dog lover, and you just think, right, well, the most sensible thing is to take them to a park with very few animals to start off with until they build up the confidence. And what's really lovely, Liam, is you see that confidence building over time, and it's almost that it's untangible. You can't physically touch it or anything, but you see the dog just come into their own and be really comfortable to just, go the toilet around you. One dog in particular that I walk, he wouldn't go to the toilet when he was out with me for so long. He was just so nervous. His tail was always tucked underneath his legs. And then over time, over a good month or so of building up a relationship with me, building confidence with me, and building trust with me as well, which you've got to do with animals. He's now quite happy to have a sniff around and have a little wee, do his toilet stuff.
Of success as well, because that's kind of the question when people start out a business, is how do you measure your success? And I think a lot of people just default to financial success is the only measure that you have in business. If you're making profit, then you're successful. But like you say, there's other ways to be successful. Obviously the goal is to make a profit when you're in a business, but also there's that enrichment to your own life in terms of the quality of your life, and seeing those progression of those dogs and how you've helped them to develop. So it's nice to be able to measure success in ways that are sort of outside of the traditional norm in a business sense.
Yes, definitely. And you do see that, because that is one of that's the reason that I've carried on doing this, Liam, and I'd like to take this even further. Once the family business I work for kind of has that space for me to flee the nest, if you so to speak, I'd just like to take this and run with it, because I've seen that there's that gap in the market for these type of dogs, special circumstance dogs, could we call them. And what I get from it is so much more rewarding than me meeting any budget I'm supposed to have smashed, in my corporate life, any budget I'm supposed to have smashed, any, event that's been a success, any kind of ROI that's completely exceeded expectations. I get so much more of a buzz of like, I've done something to enhance this animal's life. That then passes on to their owners as well. Their owners then are having a much better quality of life with that animal. If it kind of stops animals going into care or going into shelters because they can't be dealt with, because every animal I do believe can be dealt with or trained or helped in some way. And it's a tiny drop in the ocean where I am at the moment, but it's something that gives me real pride to do. And it's that unspoken gratitude you get from the dogs as well. That they can't tell you, oh, thanks very much, but you see it in them. You see it when you're taking them back home and they're like, oh, thanks, see you next time. And nothing beats that feeling when you knock on the door to pick the dog up for the walk that day and they're so excited to see you. They're just so excited to see you. And I just love that feeling.
So has that rewarding feeling sort of played into, you mentioned at the beginning that you were branching out into a more holistic side of the business. Has that kind of inspired that? And can you tell us a bit more about what that holistic element of the business involves?
Absolutely. Yes. So I'm a Reiki master. I've studied Reiki for the last 12 years and I've become qualified as a Reiki master, and I've practiced Reiki on friends, on family, and nobody appreciates the Reiki more than my dog, my own dog. She comes over and she sits next to me whenever she needs it, and she'll sit there and I just know, right, she wants a little bit of like Reiki type thing. So I suppose what's helped me with when I'm walking bigger dogs or reactive dogs, I'll do a lot of work on myself and my energy first before I go to pick up them dogs. That I truly believe passes down the lead and passes around to them in the energy. And from there, I do believe that's helped without me actually, realizing it's helped. That's helped with the journey of each individual dog. So I've thought there's dogs that can't walk about. There's dogs that, are a bit older. They don't go out. So a walk wouldn't benefit them. But me maybe visiting them for a half an hour session and doing some hands-on Reiki on them would definitely benefit. There's so much more in this day and age, without this sounding too plinky plonky, there's so much more in this day and age of energy healing and, a lot of like mental issues animals have mental issues just the same as humans, and I truly believe the holistic side of what I've got qualified in and what I'm experienced in, I can pass that on through animals as well. So that's where I'm liking to venture. It's a destination at the minute that's holding me back on that, Liam. I've not really got anywhere to have them to be able to do that. I mean, I can go to their house and do it, and they're in their own surroundings, and that's all lovely and very calming. But I'd like to be able to invite them to somewhere which is a really calming space for them to come to spend time with me and, you know, like-minded people. And it's a good energy place for them to leave happy, so to speak.
Awesome. So just talking about the timeline of your business again, you mentioned that you had first trained as a groomer and then the walking came after, but the walking is now sort of the primary element of the business. So how did you go from grooming to walking? How did that timeline kind of settle itself into walking?
Okay, yeah, so I became a qualified groomer, and nobody says to you when you finish grooming, right, you need X amount of years experience or X amount of month experience in this. You're just free to go for it. I personally, I wanted to gain the experience. So I kind of gave myself a year. I said, right, I'm going to have a year of, you know, practicing my trade on family dogs, friends dogs. That very soon became friends of friends dogs, because they were like, oh, Jenna's, you know, so it was a build up of me practicing my grooming, where people would say, oh, do you not walk dogs? You're great with dogs. Do you not walk dogs? I'm like, yeah, I can walk dogs. And I was thinking, well, it would also help me build up that client base as well for when my grooming kind of business comes into its own. But the walking side just kind of took over. I would be grooming now as well, more than I do, Liam, if I had the premises. I'm working on something in the background that hopefully by the start of next year, I will have those grooming premises, and that will be something that, you know, I'm going to run that as a business where I will be in there grooming, but I'd like to kind of see a 3-year plan with it, where I'd almost like to have a school where I'm training people to do the grooming as well. And I'd never let go of the dog walking business, because it's changed my life. It's helped me mentally as well as any of the dogs, I suppose. You can go through quite a lot with being made redundant and losing your job. And this has given me just such a different direction to focus my energy in. It's been so rewarding. And I've probably, I've not had that meltdown from losing my job because of it, if that makes sense.
You did say it was kind of like the universe had given you a little bit of a push to do it. What sort of advice then would you give to people who perhaps don't have that same push, that, you know, the people that were you back in the corporate world who are thinking, you know, this isn't my passion. I would love to work with animals, but I don't know how to make that transition. I don't know how financially I'll support myself. And they have all of those common worries. What advice would you give to them?
I would just say go for it. I 100% wish I'd done this much sooner. You can sit comfortably in a really stressful role, a really stressful environment that you're not really enjoying, but you're sitting comfortably financially. When if you just pull that plug, you will just get rewarded in so many ways. And it's almost like I did very little advertising, Liam. I kind of started off going, okay, I'll walk the neighbour's dog. And then these dogs just came to me. People just started contacting me going, will you be able to help with this? Will you be able to help with this? There is a market out there for our profession, and you know, people need our services, and more than ever now, where people are going back to work from a lockdown of COVID, they're needing us more than ever, and animals are needing us more than ever. There's so many animals and dogs getting put into care and shelters because COVID changed everybody's situation, and now people are realizing I can't look after my pet. You know, there's people like us out there that can help you and can help you with that routine of, so they're not having to go into shelters, that type of thing.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you mentioned that as well in terms of how COVID changed the situation. Obviously, there was a whole sort of lockdown puppy boom that happened. So those puppies and those dogs from like an early age had been completely surrounded by their owners for the whole time. And then they may have a hard time transitioning when the owners had to go back to the office. But likewise, you have the dogs from the other side of the spectrum who were used to their owners going out to the office every day and suddenly were surrounded by them. So I suppose in some ways would have been a lot of dogs out there that might have almost felt a bit smothered by their owners, and struggled with it in terms of that way, and potentially with their owners still being at home, still are. So having someone who can come and take them out of that environment for a space of time, like yourself, to go on a walk, or even to sort of go to a daycare center or stuff like that, you know, those things are also beneficial. It's not just making sure that the dog isn't left lonely, it's making sure that they have alone time.
Of course, to get used to it. And I think you mentioned earlier, I've been lucky that I called it before, I fell into college, I fell into university, I fell into a business degree. It's massively helped me along the way, because I've got I've been educated into how to run businesses.
Well, I didn't. Actually, you mentioned a couple of skills that you've developed throughout your life. So your business skills, your marketing skills, the Reiki, and they've all sort of informed the way that you're doing the business. So is that something that you would sort of advise people to look at, what skills they have acquired over their lifetime and sort of implement that in their pet businesses?
Absolutely. And just how you can bring it to the business. And I'm not saying you need to go to university and get any kind of business degree, because I honestly believe with a little tiny bit of kind of like, I don't know, inspiration, or an academy of some sort, or even just a business for dummies book, get yourself one of those, have a read through it. And as long as you're understanding the fundamentals, I truly believe if you've got the willpower and you've got the motivation and you've got the get up and go to do this, things will happen for you. Definitely.
Well, we've actually got with Book Your Pet, the Book Your Pet membership is sort of a new resource hub that we have. So you can take those skills that you've acquired through life, and, you know, even if it's going back to childhood like yourself and learning how to handle big dogs through having grown up with them, we've got the resources there. So you can take those skills that you've learned and fill in the bits that you're missing, whether that's the how to do business, the bits on legal, the finance, setting yourself up as a business entity. Book Your Pet's there to sort of help fill in those gaps, but like you said, transferring those life skills that you've acquired and turning them into the passions that you believe to them.
Absolutely. Having something like that is so important, because it's just having it's giving you that confidence. It's that reassurance in the background that, oh, I've got these to like kind of help me out here if I need it. And anything you don't know, everybody at Book Your Pet is so friendly and so approachable, and they've really changed my kind of like my role in this and how I'm working. It's helped me massively. And you know, knowing you've got that resource in the background if you ever need it, it's absolutely perfect. It just does amazing for your confidence and just gives you that bit more. Go on, you can do this. You've got a team of so many people behind you, along with all the other dog walkers and groomers and trainers and everybody else that's also part of that business. It's great.
And going back to when you first started out then, is there anything that you know now that you wish you'd have known at the beginning of starting your pet business?
Yes. Get a really good pair of waterproof walking boots. It's probably the only thing, Liam. I've been through 5 pairs of walking boots. All of them said they were waterproof, and they weren't. When you're walking dogs all day, you just need to be comfortable in what you wear. And it's nice to have, you know, something on that's designer, and it's nice to have something on that, you know, is like, you know, says your brand name on it, but just be comfortable. The dogs don't judge you on it. They don't judge you on what boots you've got on or what coat you've got on. So just be really, really comfortable and absolutely enjoy it. I obviously live in Cheshire. We're at the bottom of the Peak District. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful destination. And every single time I'm out with dogs and I'm walking, I'm just like, I am so lucky to live here and have this as my job. People used to say to me all the time, you know, if you get a job that you love, you don't work a day in your life. And I used to be like, oh, I've heard this so many times before. And when you're in a press office in a corporate environment, you're like, how could I ever love this? It's awful. I'm so stressed. But I now completely understand what that means. You know, I get up really early on my dog walking days, and I am looking forward to the next dog. It's such a rewarding job.
Amazing. And in terms of, you've mentioned the plans to get premises for the grooming, for the holistic side of the business. Where do you see your business going over the next 12 months, 2 years, 5 years? What's the plan for Puplins?
Okay, the plan for Puplins, first of all, is to get the premises, and I'm hoping to do that the end of this year, the beginning of next year. To start off with, that will be me setting up grooming. In the background, I'd like to get almost like a pack behind me that would help me with my walking. So there would be dog walking carrying on in the background with a group of people, a group of like-minded, good energy people that have got experience with challenging dogs, special circumstance dogs. It almost feels like I've got a 3-year plan of 3 little businesses, Liam. I'd like to keep the Puplins Dog Walking with a team walking. I'd like to set up the grooming salon with obviously employing groomers, putting jobs out there for groomers. I'd like to look at an academy for grooming where I can train people then to do the grooming side of the business. And then obviously that's it. And that's what I'm working on so far. There's so many doors that have been opened when it comes to animals. I mean, I'm at the moment, just little things like I'm arranging pack walks over weekend where I'm just going to pop out on my social media. Look, there's a big pack walk this weekend. It's completely free of charge. It's me with my dog and other people, friends with their dogs, that we just go on a big hike for an hour around the bottom of the Peak District. It's a beautiful place, but people that are trying to build confidence with the dogs or socialize their dogs, they can just join me on my pack walk of a weekend, and we just do a little mooch around completely free of charge. It doesn't cost anything. There's little things like that I'm going to be adding to those businesses along the way, just to try and make everybody inclusive, really. You might not be able to afford a dog walker, but you can afford to come to the pack walk, and we can help you out with advice and tips and tricks, and especially with socializing your animals. So yeah, it's obviously carrying on the walking, build up a business where there's going to be walkers walking with me for that. Build up the grooming side where we can offer opportunities for people to have grooming careers, and an academy where I can train people, and then I'm still working with the animals, but obviously giving other people the ability to work with animals as well, and training them in what they need to do that.
Yeah, I love that you're so focused on enriching other people's lives and enriching animals' lives as well, giving back from what you've learned and experienced yourself. And with that in mind, obviously with your extensive marketing background, I do have to ask, what would you suggest to new or early years petpreneurs as the best form of marketing when it comes to a pet services business? Okay,
I would suggest online. And I believe that's because you can ramp that up or turn that down. If you feel you're getting too busy, you can turn it down. If you feel you're not busy enough, you can ramp that up. And that incorporates being on Google, making sure you've got your business registered on Google, because that's the place where everybody goes to find your business. Obviously having a social media presence, your Instagram and your Facebook, and posting on a regular basis. You've got a dream job, you're walking around with your dog, or you're grooming a dog, or you're training a dog, and people love watching that kind of thing. I'm actually really sad. I sit there of an evening watching trainers and how they train dogs. It's all about the content, and you can put as little content on there as you want, or as much content on there as you want. And it's as easy as, the more content you put on, the more kind of people get to see it, the more kind of people will come to you going, can I use your service? The little amount you put on, obviously you'll get that less, but you can tweak it to, what you're actually capable of managing, what you feel comfortable with managing. I started off with literally an Instagram page, and then once I was able to build up my confidence, I was like, right, I'm ready to go on to Google now. And I set up a Google business page, and I add to that on a regular basis, and I encourage my my customers to put reviews on there as well, because Google always rewards you for that. And I'm getting the majority of my customers from that source now. And then obviously just keeping all of that in sync with adding to social media. I've got a website, I've got to be honest. Only from my background of marketing, I can create a website. Not everybody's got the ability to do that. I honestly don't believe you massively need it. If you've got the social presence and the Google presence, you're on your way. You're absolutely on your way.
And with those things, like you say, not everybody has the ability to to build a website. I've been in that position myself where I've been trying to market my services before, and you know, I've sat down and I've gone, right, I'm going to build myself a website, and it's just never happened because I don't have that skill and I don't have the time to learn that skill. But not having a website isn't the end of the world. There are platforms like Book Your Pet that can add a website as a directory for you, and they can promote you and market you to an audience that are seeking your services directly. And as well with the things like content creation, I think sometimes it can become overwhelming as well when people look at how much content other people produce and go, I have to keep up with that. But as you say, as long as there's a regular schedule and it's a consistent schedule, then that's going to have a great impact. And if people are struggling as well, going back to the Book Your Pet membership that we mentioned earlier, there are social media templates in there that you can download and adjust to fit your business to make that process easier, to make sure that you are able to plan a consistent flow of content to promote the business. Yeah, and do you know one thing as well, just to add, is the scheduling service, the booking part of the app. It's, if you're not organized, or I mean, to be honest, you could be the most organized person in the world, but if you're out walking dogs after dog and you're not always checking stuff, people might be ringing trying to get to book your time. If you've got that booking ability from Book Your Pet, that's just all happening for you. It's almost like your little administration assistant in the background, just keeping your business ticking over whilst you're enjoying your walks with dogs. We're here to make a petpreneur's life easier and to make it easier for them to deliver those quality services like you do to the dogs as well. So yeah, if anybody out there is watching, do check out the Book Your Pet app, because as Genna says, you know, we're here to help make your life easier and building that business a lot easier as a petpreneur. So just before I let you go, Genna, this has been a really great chat. Just tell us where people can find and follow you. I know you've mentioned Google there, but give us the specifics. How can people find, follow, book with you? Okay, so I'm on Instagram at Puplins Dog Walking. I'm on Facebook at Puplins Dog Walking, and obviously Google, like you've mentioned. Once I get to the position where I can open more days and do a 7-week day, that will be happening. But watch this space for the additional pack walks that I'll be arranging, and obviously energy therapy sessions for dogs, obviously free trials. So I mean, I'm excited about that. I'm going to bring Patch to come and see you. That'll be really good. I don't know what they'd think about crystals and stuff yet, but we're just going to take baby steps and just do it really slowly, because do you know, Liam, once you're in an environment with like-minded people, the energy is just a beautiful energy anyway. You don't even need to add anything to it, and the dogs will pick up on that. So yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Genna. Thank you. Sharing about your business, and we will be spotlighting you over the next 2 weeks on all Book Your Pet platforms. So everybody keep your eyes out for more from Genna and Puplins. Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye. I'm just gonna stop. Was that okay?